Welcome to Amud Shiur. We are in Maseches Kiddushin, Daf Chavvav Amud Aleph, in the bottom of the page, and basically we are learning today, continuing the topic of kinyonim. How does one acquire kinya? How does one acquire a piece of land? We spoke, and also metaltonin. So, piece of land. One of the three ways to acquire a piece of land is kesef. It's money, shtar, or chazaka. Really, kesef and shtar, many times you need both, but the Mishnah said kesef, shtar, and chazaka. Now, the source for kesef, who said it's from Yirmiyahu, it says sodas bekesef ikonu. Sodas bekesef ikonu. Yeah, in other words, iknu, they shall buy the fields for money. Look at Tosfos, Omar Kro sodas bekesef iknu. Yeah, although today is really Amud Beis, but we're just revisiting and reading Tosfosim that we haven't seen yesterday. Omar Krosodas because of Fikno. Before we continue, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who came here today and every day, as well as the people on the phone and people in Torah anytime and our YouTube channel. Omar Krosodas because of Fikno says Tosfos. Hadelo Aisi Mikro Dechtiv Gabe Efoin. Tosfos asks the question. When you look for biblical source, for Torah source with the Oaisa to tell me that the money can buy me karka can be bought for money, why do you have to speak about Yirmiyahu? We have another story right at the beginning of the Torah in Bereshis, and the Gemara used that pasuk before regarding a woman. What did we say there? That the person can buy something, karka, with money, like Ephron. It says by Ephron that Avram gave him 400 shekels, that's a lot of money, in order to buy the field. If so, why don't you bring that as a source, right? Answers Tosfos mishum de dilma, maybe hanili minochri shekol kinyon bekesef. By goyim, there's no meshicha, no chazaka. Goyim, the only kinyan halachically is with kesef, and therefore they would reflect on us. One would say, "Thank you very much." Shkoyach Ephron buys with money because Ephron wasn't a yid. If he's not a yid, he's an akum. Mimela buys with money because that's always the rule. Why? It says miyad amitecha. Only the yid buys with meshicha miyad, from hand to hand, or with other things. But the kesef by a goy, doesn't reflect on a Jew. That's why we needed a different source. Yirmiyahu bought a field from his cousin Hanamel, and he told Jews to follow suit and also buy fields. B'vakasha, very good. Then obviously, a yid buys from a yid with also kesef and not just with other things. That's why we needed a Jewish source. Now, another Tosfos. Actually, let's restart already from the two dots. Nechosim shen le'machrayis. We saw it yesterday, but there is a certain point here also which we have to see in Tosfos. Nechosim shen le'machrayis. What's nechosim shen le'machrayis? We said in the Mishnah, although metaltalin and kalkois are bought in different ways, there's one kinyan that unites them both. I don't mean chalipin, which can also be bought. I mean agav. What's agav? You buy, you sell with a transaction which is suitable for karka, and you know that besides the karka, you also want to be makne, to sell or buy other items that are metaltalin. If you pre-decided, you can say, and you can decide, the Gemara will speak later if you have to mouth it or not, but you decide that the kinyan of the karka is going to work also for the metaltalin. Give me an example. How do you become a karka? Any example? No? What? Chazaka. So let's say chazaka, you sit there, you build a fence, you painted the wall or something, digging, and besides that karka, you know that you want to buy other items there in the field or in the house, or maybe even outside the field or the house. I have other items I want to buy. I want to buy the guy's car, a field with a tractor, with a car, with a computer, with diamond ring, whatever. Then what? The kinyan of the karka helps the metaltalin as well, right? Even though I did not do a kinyan for the metaltalin, give me an example for kinyan of metaltalin. For example, no? What? Meaning? Agba, meshicha, very good, mesira. So I don't need to do that. The chazaka did on the karka, as long as it's planned and agreed upon, works also for metaltalin. I'm reviewing the Gemara on purpose because we have new information here. The Gemara, how do you know? How do you know Agav works? Who told you that? We're in the Gemara now. We're not Tosfos. We're in the Gemara. Omar Chizkiya, the Omar Kro, Chizkiya says, it says in the pasuk, Vayiten lehem aviem matanos. It says, in Divrei ha Yomim, it says that the father of the family The father, he gave them, it says about Yehoshaphat, the father gave them matonos, gifts, gold, silver, food, im ore mitzuras beYehuda, together with fortified cities in Yehuda. Okay, very good. So we see that together, along with and top of the karka, he gave them also gold, silver. Ellen made a good point yesterday. Are the metaltalim only metaltalim that have to do with the karka? Maybe, a plow, a tractor, a horse to plow? Apparently not. We see in the pasuk even gold and silver, some nuggets of gold and gold bars. They don't have to intrinsically do with the karka; they come from the karka. But lemaisa they also nikne. Here comes the new question, a question which you try to clarify. When the metaltalin are bought with the karka, do they have to be tzavur? Do they have to be collected or not? What do you mean collected? Do they have to be located geographically on the ground or not? Or maybe they can even be outside the ground. Yeah. In other words, if I sell you the apartment in Nachal, I don't know, Dolev 20, and I want to sell you also the shoes and the socks and the computers that are there, do they have to be indoors inside the asset I'm selling you? Or could they be in a different street, maybe in a different country? What's the question? Do we need an intrinsic geographical connection? Or do we say, no, we don't need to be geographically connected? It's a general idea. Once we decided the metaltalin are there, we decided in our minds are connected, it's good enough. Amar Rav Yosef Toshma, come and listen to a Mishnah. This is a Mishnah that quotes Rabbi Akiva. What does it say over there? Rabbi Akiva Omer. Rabbi Akiva comes with a chiddush. Karka kol shehu. Rabbi Akiva is telling us the karka kol shehu, a small, very, very, very small piece of land. What are there special halachas regarding a karka, a piece of land that's really tiny? They're really, really, really small. Says Rabbi Akiva, watch and see. Chayeves bepeya. The first halacha we talk about. Don't turn the page so quickly because we have a toisvis. A karka kol shu chayeves bepeya. And when I was reading the Gemara yesterday, I was thinking, what do you mean chayeves bepeya? Peya means a corner, right? Yeah. In other words, you leave some of the field, some of the wheat you harvest, and you leave the corner for the poor people. Well, if the karka is so small, how can you? Is there enough to leave for yourself and give others? It's really tiny. So really, Tosfos says something else, not like I was saying. Look at Tosfos, karka kol shu chayeves bepeya. Karka kol shu chayeves, the second to last Tosfos, the penultimate Tosfos. It says Tosfos, B'Yerushalmi de Maseches Peah, the Yerushalmi on Peah. You know that there is no Bavli on Zroim, but there's Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi on Zroim is very big. Chaim Kanevsky also has a parish. It says in Yerushalmi on Peah, Porich al hach Mishnah. There's a question regarding this Mishnah. That's my question. Ad sheloi kotzro ein chayeves bepeah. Before you harvested it, there's no peah required. Mishakotzro ein kan shiur. Once you harvested, let's assume it's really, really kol shu. What does kol shu mean? One wheat. If you have one stalk of wheat, then there's nothing to leave behind. How can you have one wheat and have some for you and some for the anim? Who's going to eat first? Umeshani answers the Yerushalmi quoted by Tosfos. We are in Tosfos Chavav Amud Aleph Karka Kol Shu. Tiftar, there's a solution, there's an answer. Shehoya Sham Kone Echad Uboy Chamisha Shiboilois. Wow, Chamisha Shiboilois. There's one wheat, one stalk of wheat, and from that one stalk of wheat, there are 5 different buy stalks. Small, no, Chamisha Shiboilois. Shiboilos, no, not kernels. That's still one body. Shiboilos is not a kernel. That's garinim. There are 5 basically branches, so to speak, mini stalks, smaller stalks coming out of the big stem. One stem with 4 or 5 different stalks. It's not grains, no. That's the idea. So you have one wheat, right? One stalk of wheat, which occupies only a really tiny space. But lamaise, from it, there are 5 different ones that come out. 5 different stalks that come, and therefore I'll take myself, let's say 4. And one which is in the corner, I leave for the anim. Tosfos goes on and proves it also later on from the Gemara. We'll stop here. But this is the pshat, not like I said yesterday. I thought yesterday maybe there are 4 stalks and it's still called small. So this is no. There's one stalk, but it branches out to 5 different ones. That's what there is peah. Okay. Bikurim, also bikurim. Yes. Well, bikurim is easier. Bikurim is the first grain. Bikurim is the first, yeah, I guess the first one that comes out. You give it to Bikurim, I assume. Yeah, the first grain that comes. Bikurim enlem shiur mikaradin. Yeah, the first grain that juts out, that sprouts. That's the one you're going to give. You take to Yerushalayim. I guess so. Lichtov alea pruzbul. Oh, now in today's page, Chaf Vav Amud Beis. Lichtov alea pruzbul. This karka is big enough to write a pruzbul over it. What does it mean to write a pruzbul? It means that, as we said yesterday, it says in Gittin Lamedzayin Amud Aleph, when do Beis Din write pruzbul? They only write pruzbul for a person who owns a piece of land. There are two reasons. The main reason, out of all the reasons, and that's one I'll stick to, that's the one also Tosfos says, people who don't have land, who don't own land, usually won't lend them. You can argue and say that 1, 2, 3, 4 shekels, 100 shekels, 1,000 shekels, they would, but a really big loan, you wouldn't lend, like the bank. If you borrow from the bank, they want, something as mortgage, the house, the car, whatever. So classically, as we see here in the Mishnah, achrayas, the only asset that really has achrayas is the land, because your car can get stolen, your car can chas v'shalom get burnt. A piece of land will always stay there. There could be issues, people stalking, etc., squatting, but the etzem, the karka is physically always there, and that's why only people who most borrowers, the normal way to borrow is if you have a piece of land. So what? Chachamim, there's a very famous rule. Chachamim only metaken takonas to normal people, the normal way. Chachamim always relate to society in the mainstream norm, right? This guy got a $5 million loan without owning one piece of land and no car because his friend trusts him. Good for him, but that's not the normal way. Right? Imela pruzbul. Oh, the chiddush is pruzbul is only written for people who have karka. That's why people who really don't have a piece of land, they rent. They ask the father. Teenagers would ask the father to be machmi, rent me out an amal am in your house, which should be mine, and then you can have pruzbul written. That's what they do sometimes. I'm not saying halacha l'maisa, but I know that's a done thing. So the karka, even though it's very small and it's not significant, it's a karka. It's a karka yoytze. It's good enough for Chazal to allow you to write pruzbul and facilitate galva to help you in shmita. Here's the punchline. A karka, the tiny, teeny, winsy, tiny bit of karka that you have, is a karka that's good enough, that's able to have Kinyan Agav. That's our man, Kinyan Agav. Meaning, if you have a small karka, very small karka, one wheat grows there only, it's good enough for you if you want to sell it with other metaltalin. It works. Kinyan Agav. What does that prove regarding our question? Clearly, a clear proof. If you want to tell me that Agav only works with tzvuim, that the metaltalim have to rest and actually, so to speak, lie on top of the ground, such a tiny karka that only one wheat can grow in, what kind of metaltalim is it good for? What can you place there? Right? Nothing. Therefore, by default, must be that the metaltalim always can be nikne, even if they're outside the house. And even if your house is huge and you're selling the guy, 100 acres, still, it doesn't have to be inside the karka, because otherwise a small karka would not be able to sell you, so to speak, to be an agav factor for the metaltalim, because what can you put there? Nothing. Answers the Gemara, no. The Gemara now wants to reject it and say no. Targuma Rav Shmuel Bar Bisna Kamed Rav Yosef. Rav Shmuel Bar Bisna translated, which really means he explained it in front of Rav Yosef. He explained the Mishnah to Rav Yosef, saying, "Kigon shenatz b'machat." No, yeah, the one thing you can have in that tiny karka, which is metaltalin, that is a machat. What's a machat? Naatz. What's linotz? What's naatz? Right? What? Machat is a needle. Naatz, he stabbed a needle inside. He stuck a needle inside, and he's selling him the needle. That's what he's selling, the needle. So there is, a needle is tiny and sharp. He stuck it in the karka, good enough. And therefore, it is. In other words, what are we trying to say now? That yes, you do have to have the metaltalin on the karka. What can you have in a tiny karka on top of it? You can have a tiny object. Tiny karka, tiny object. Big karka, big object. Rav Yosef, kvastan. Kvastan means one of the two. Kvastan either means, says Rashi, tsiartani, you made me sorry, or kevis is like sickness, you made me sick, or kvastan is like kubustis, you stole. You stole the pshat from me. I highly, seriously disagree with you. You make me either like sick, or you make me feel betrayed, stolen from, because I don't believe what you're saying is true. Why not? What's so bad with what Rav Shmuel said? Ichpal Tana la Shmuinan Machat. You think the Tana is like doubling over? Koful is the Tana going into the great length. That's in English. The Tana goes into a great length to tell me a whole case for Machat. Yeah. In other words, this Mishnah, according to you, applies to one object only. How many people sell Machat? One Machat? If you sell it, you start selling it to the Karka? Come on. It's not likely that the Mishnah is talking about one Machat only. In other words, your ukimta is not a good ukimta. I don't like your ukimta. Omar Ravashi. Ravashi defends in a way. He develops what Rav Shmuel said, and he says, no. Man leimalan, the Lord Talaba Marganisa, the Shavi Alfa Zuzi. Who told us that machat doesn't have tolo? Maybe he hung on it, maybe stuck on the top of the machat. A marganis, margalit is a pearl, but marganis with a nun is a diamond. Maybe there's a diamond on it that's worth alfa zuzi, 1,000 zuz. A brooch. Yeah. In other words, you can have one machat. On top of the machat, you can have the kohinor. In the machat, on top of the machat, you can have a very, very fancy, expensive diamond. How much does a diamond cost? Depends on the quality. You can have 1,000, 10,000, 500,000. I don't know. So therefore, it's not such a far-fetched thing. And therefore, what? So let's now rezone. Let's regroup again. And what are we saying now? Really, we still don't know whether the karka that's used for agav is karka that the metaltalin are on top of, or maybe the metaltalin can also be outside the karka and it still works. Why? Because when you say that you have a karka that's tiny, it works as agav, yes, maybe you're selling together with the karka a car. So obviously the car is outside the tiny karka, but maybe you're selling a brooch, yeah, which is very expensive and very significant, which is very tiny and sticks itself, you stuck it in the ground, but on top of it you have a very expensive diamond, and maybe yes, there is maybe there is a requirement for the metaltalin, yes, to be located in the karka. We don't know. We tried to prove and we rejected the proof. Right now, we still don't know whether you do or you don't need to have the metaltalin inside the karka. We remain so far in the question, and we're looking to investigate, to explore further. Good? Toshma, question. A little bit of a question time here. Yeah. Okay. Before we continue, I'm going to explain a certain point which was discussed now. The case of the needle, we're not saying that it happened to be there was a needle there just out of the blue. Obviously not. A person wants to sell a piece of land, not science fiction, even a small piece of land, whatever, for whichever reason you want. You know why he wants to have a small piece of land? It's for prusbul. Oh, he's a from guy, Ben Brakish. He wants to have a prusbul, so he wants to have what? The small piece of land. And you know, at the same time, as we're discussing, you saw, I like your, little cute brooch with a very nice diamond on top of it. I want to buy that too. They discuss everything about that. They ask the rabbi. Let's say that rabbi thinks, mistakenly or not, that metaltalim have to be inside the karka. So the rabbi told them, stick the brooch in the land and you'll do it too for the price of one. Halachically, that's not science fiction at all. That can happen. Then kill two birds with one stone. By agav. Was the rabbi right? That's another question. Is it a requirement it should be inside or not? We don't know yet, but it's definitely a normal script. It's not some crazy case. The Shenken Machat, it's funny, because to buy a Machat which is worth, 30 agorot, even then it was a cheap thing. You're not going to start a whole trouble in Agav. Well, what's the big $1 million deal here? You're starting a whole story for one little worthless Machat. That was the absurdity. If it's worth a lot, yeah, it's a real deal with real kinyanim, with real questions. They want to do it the right way. Weiter. Toshma, another attempt to prove our point, not to prove our point, to find out the emes, the halacha, does it or doesn't have to be inside the land, the metaltalin for agav. Toshma, Amar Blozo, Maise b'Madoni Echod. There was a kind of nation called Madon, not Midian. If you notice by Yosef Atzadik, there were Midionim and Medonim. Medonim, yeah, I think they're from Esav or from Ishmael. I'm not sure which one. Medan and Midian are two nations. So this is a Yid from Madon, from the place called Madon. Okay, like you have an American Jew from America, you have a Madoini Jew. Shiur Yerushalayim, he was in Yerushalayim, originally from Madon. He made Aliyah to the holy city of Jerusalem. Shoyla metaltalin harbe. He had many metaltalin. He had many. You know it's metaltalin. Ubikesh litna b'matana. he wanted to give the matana, to give someone all the metaltalin as a gift. Now you can also give a gift with agav, right? Kinyanim who work with money can work without money. Matana is exactly the same kinyan with small differences. He wants to do matana, and okay, how do you know he did it to the agav? Let's see. Amuloi. Now he consulted with Chachomim. Chachomim told him, "Ein lo takana ad shaknem al gabi kalka." From some reason, we still don't know why, there was no other way he could do kinyan to give matana to the recipient except for agav. The only takana, the only way he can do it, that will be discussed later why, says Rashi, and I'm telling you it's coming at the end. The only way Mr. Madoni can do the kinyan is kalka. Yeah, you have a piece of land. You need to have a piece of land. And on top of the land, whatever that means, agav, you can also sell or give for free, but in an established way, a matana, all the other metaltalin. Ma'osa, what did he do? Fascinating story. Holach v'lokach beis sela samach liYerushalayim. He didn't have a piece of land there in Yerushalayim, and he took a base sela outside Yerushalayim. What does base sela mean? We're going to see soon. Yeah, he took a sela outside Yerushalayim. Sela means one of two things. What does sela mean? I don't know Hebrew. Can you translate sela in two different ways? Can you play dictionary? Give me one definition, then two definitions. Yeah. Sela means a rock, like the rock of Gibraltar, or sela means also I'm surrounded by scholars, or a piece of, or a coin, Oh, so sela either means a coin or sela means a rock. So now he bought a piece of land. Either this piece of land was hard rock, not just hard rock, it was also like very sharp. A rock originally, rocks they're like a cliff in English. Yeah, it's very sharp and very protruding in the top. Very slanted. He bought a piece of land which was very very, how do you call it? Very sharp, very rocky, and very sharp in the top. Yeah, very steep. That's the word I was looking for. Very steep. Or he bought a very small piece of land, as big as or as small as a coin. That's the kind of land that he bought. Neither of them can have a lot of metaltalin on them, because the sela is either tiny. You can't have, what did we say? Harbe metaltalin. He had a lot of stuff to sell. Yeah. He moved back to America. He made a house sale. He sold all the microwave and all the tanurim and everything. Yeah. All the cupboards. He wanted to sell that. You can't do that on a small piece of land like a sela, or even it's very rocky and very steep. You can't locate things there. But what did he do? He did get such a land, the Omar, and he said, Tzfoini zeh, or Tzfoini shel zeh leploini. That piece of land, either the northern part of the land belongs to Ploini, to the recipient, or maybe it was in the north of Yerushalayim. That northern piece of land, that's funny, belongs to the Ploni. The imoy me'atzayin u'me'chaviyos, and together with the matano, which I give the piece of land, on top of that. By the way, when I say on top of that, I don't necessarily mean physically on top. I mean together with that. Be'agav, I'm selling him 100 sheep or goats and 100 barrels of mace, and he died. The kima is dvarov. Now, the fact that he died, the Mekayim, that's a question. Either there was a kinyan, or maybe he was, because he was about to die, then even though he did not make a kinyan, if somebody says something before his death, you have to respect his wish even without kinyan. But one thing we know for sure, he was makne to Mr. Lucky recipient, whoever that was. I don't know, his nephew, I don't know who. He gave him what? A piece of land, which was not very hospitable, right? And with that, he gave him many metaltalin. Zog the Gemara, excuse me, says the Gemara. If you demand that the metaltalin have to be tzvurim located inside the piece of land, beisela l'may chazi. Yeah, how can you have anything inside the beisela? It's either tiny, as big as a coin. You can't have 100, unless your name is Yaakov Avinu, and you're asleep, and Hashem puts the entire Tzisrael under your body. You have to be Yaakov Avinu for that. Most of us are not. Yeah, it's against the laws of physics to have 100 kettles and 100 chaviyos in one sela, or even if it was bigger, it was very rocky and not really flat. How can you place 100 kettles on the cliff? How does that work? Elama, so must be what? Must be that you don't have to have them inside the land, right? Must be that for Agav, the karka can be here, the metaltalin can be there, and there's still one big happy family for Agav. 1 second. Answers the Gemara, Miso, answers the Gemara, no, rejects the Gemara, the attempt to prove by, who told you? Misovat Beit Sela, Sela, Mamish. How do you know that Sela means actual Sela? How do you know that Sela means a rock which is steep, like a cliff? How do you know? Or maybe small? No. My Sela Denafish Tuva. Could be the Sela is a very big piece of land. Yeah. It's big and flat. It's big and flat. No problem. You can place 100 cattle, 100 chavios, and your mother-in-law. They can all be on top of that Sela, which is nice and flat and hard. The Ma'karli Sela. You know why they call it Sela? The Kashika Sela. It's as hard as a Sela. It's rocky, not rocky as uneven. It's rocky. It's as hard as a rock. It's as hard as a rock. It's the topography there, yeah, and the geology, it was a rock, but it was a flat rock. And a flat rock, rock and roll. You can put there whatever you want. Metaltalim, chavios, everything can be there. And enachinami could be that really what? Maybe, we don't know. But maybe really for Agav, you have to have the metaltalin inside the land. Could be. You know what Sela meant? A big flat piece of land, which was rocky, which was not fertile. No problem. And there, enachinami, they were all inside. Did we prove anything? For the 15th time, I'm telling you, no. He didn't prove anything. We don't know. Could be Sela means it was tiny, and the metaltalin were outside. But maybe Sela means big and flat and just hard rock by nature, and they were inside. At the moment, we do not know. We don't know whether the metaltalin have to be inside, or is it okay even if they're outside? We attempt to prove, and we're back to square one. We don't know. Because there are two ways how to read the story with the Madoni and the Sela. The story of the Madoni and the Sela. Yes. I promised you questions are allowed soon. Yeah. I don't want to be with a heart of rock. Yeah. Toshma. Domar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Another brisa with a similar, albeit not exactly identical story, but a similar story. Ma'aseh b'adam echad shecholo b'Yerushalayim. Oh, I told you before, and now it's coming. A person was in Yerushalayim, and he was very ill, very sick. Anybody from Bava Basra? Shchiv Mera is a person who is, okay, let's say terminally ill. He's about to die, or so he thinks, right? In other words, he's about to die. We know that he's not dying even, but, his days are numbered, let's say. Could be even a few months, but he's considered as terminally ill. Yeah, in a hospice, let's say. So that person who's very sick, does he have to do a kinyan in order to, to be makna to other people? Or can he just say, Balpeh, with Eidim watching, and whatever his request is, will be, his word is God, will respect his word, yes or no? Most people say yes. Most people say it's machloikis, but the mainstream opinion says if a person is very ill, right, even without a kinyan, because he doesn't have koich to do kinyan, he doesn't have the mindset, he's very sick, he doesn't think exactly about, let's do akbal, let's do lefishitas chazonish, tritfochim. His mind is not there, so we allow him, we facilitate, the process by just, he's going to say, obviously with Eidim and kosher, and people do some say they have to write down what he said, it's recorded, but there's no kinyan necessary, okay? According to some. So, we just ruined the fun. Rabbi Eliezer says that even though he was sick, still requires a kinyan. Because what we're going to see now in the following lines is that he did do Kinyan Agav. According to Rabbi Eliezer, even a sick person does have to do kinyan, okay? And some say that the story was different. Another version of the story was the person was a bori, only because it was a regular, healthy, well person. That's why he needed to do a kinyan like Rabbanon. Don't get confused here. The story is describing a person who required a kinyan. There's no other way he could have done it except for kinyan. Who requires kinyan? According to Rabbi Eliezer, everyone needs kinyan. Whether you're sick, old, young, black or white, you need a kinyan. But shekel, if you're a banan, only if you are not a shchiv mera, which is most of us, you need a kinyan. If it's a shchiv mera, you don't. It's a side point. Yeah, but definitely that guy needed a kinyan. And a similar story to the Madoni. Shehoyel metaltalin harbe. He had many metaltalin to give as a gift. Ubikesh litne b'matana. Same thing. He wants to give many metaltalin b'matana. Omru loy, they told him, the chazak, the chomim, the times of the Mishnah, he smartly consulted with them, and they told him, "Ein lo takono ad shiaknem al gav karka." Again, for a mysterious reason, which Ellen mentioned, yeah, there is no other way for you, Mr. Giver, sick or old or young, you, the giver, the only way you can give it to the other person is by Kinyan Agav. No other way. Okay, we'll see why later. Ma'osa, what did he do? He went and he bought a Beis Roiva. A Beis Roiva is not a big, Beis Roiva is a small sized karka. It's a Beis Roiva is a small sized karka, Somech Yerushalayim. I saw yesterday the size, and I don't understand say, but it's not a large area, a Beis Roiva. It's a small area. The Omar, to make it even worse, tefach al tefach leploini. He said, out of that, I think it's a sort tefachim. I think it's about 9. I think, yeah, it's about 10 tefachim, more or less. Out of those 10 tefachim, which are his, he said, I'm giving the recipient, which I want to give. He's a giver. I want to give my recipient, my friend, out of that area, 1 tefach by 1 tefach. How much is 1 tefach? If you want to be very, very, very frum, 9. Yeah, that's in the olden days. Today work with centimeters. Chazonish, 9.6 centimeters. You want to be very frum, like by Sukkah they say to play it safe, not to get confused for the women and kids. 10 centimeters. So he gave him, a piece of land, a piece of land, 10 centimeters over 10 centimeters. Okay, pshia. And together with that karka, which was makne, b'shtar, kesef, chazaka, how many metaltalim were following along, were jumping on the bandwagon? The imay me'at san u'me'at chavios. Oh wow, just like the Madoni, 100 tzon, 100 sheep, and 100 barrels of, I guess, wine. The mace, and he died. The kimu chachamim is dvarav, and chachamim fulfilled his wish. Again, why? He died, and he didn't just say it about that. He made a kinyan. Either he was sick, or bells of chachamim. At the end of the day, there was a kinyan. There's a Kinyan Agav. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. You're talking about 10 centimeters of 10 centimeters, right? And you're buying with it, you're selling with it, giving with it 100 kettle heads, and 100 chavias of wine. The question is obvious. The Omat Bain and Tzvurim, and if you want to tell me that Agav requires location inside the land, excuse me, how much can you put in a tefach over tefach? 10 centimeters, that's a frumest shear, believe me. Yeah, you go lower, you have 6 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters. Yeah, you can't have 1 sheep over there, I don't think. Yeah, Elamai must be what? What are we proving now? That clearly they can be outside. And you understand now what this question is stronger than the one before. Beforehand, we played around with the word sela. Sela means this, sela means that. Here, these are cruel numbers. You can't fight with numbers, right? Yeah. 10 centimeters, 1 tefach over 1 tefach. It doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't mean Iraq. It doesn't mean Gibraltar. It means tefach over tefach. 1 tefach over 1 tefach, more or less like this, doesn't have 100 sheep in it, whichever way you measure it, right? Yeah, unless genetically engineered to be very small, like tiny, but that's not the case. So obviously the proof is what? That zicher, it can be on the outside. So even if you have a big piece of land, you're selling an entire mansion, and you also sell metaltalin, you sell a fancy car, it doesn't have to be inside, because metaltalin don't have to be inside. And here's your proof, yeah? Ironclad proof. Nah, lemay chazi answers the Gemara. Oh, believe it or not, there's a solution. We're talking here, there were no sheep, there were no barrels, there was one thing called money, dami. In other words, this person had many coins, gold, nice, I guess, golden coins, that were the value of tzoin and chavios. When he wanted to give matana, the tzoin and the chavios, the 100 tzoin and the 100 chavios, they were not actually there, bleeping away. That wasn't the case. He gave him money, ma'os, can you imagine, like in Bava Metzia, he had like a whole pile, like a whole tower of coins, yeah, which were worth, with the value of which was 100 son and 100 chavios, and could be the entire Manhattan. It was all in those coins. And those coins, yes, they can be located inside the piece of land. Here goes your proof out the window. So we still don't know. Maybe the piece of land was tiny, but so were the chavios and so were the sheep. Why? Because they were in the form of money. He gave him money. Yeah, like you tell your friend, I'm going to buy you supper. What does it mean to buy you supper? Either you'll invite him to a restaurant, you'll give him a voucher. Yeah, I bought you supper. take the voucher, which is very small, take it and go to the restaurant to buy food. Oh, so that's what we mean. Now we're going to try and prove it. And then we'll get to the other point of why on earth, excuse the pun, why on earth wasn't there a normal Kinyan over the metaltalin? Yeah. Hachinami mistabra, says the Gemara. Line starts with the skin. And says the Gemara, Hachinami mistabra. It also makes sense to say that we're talking here about coins. Because the Gemara probably felt, without saying it, that it's a bit hard to talk about soin and chavios and say, really means the money, right? That they're worth, right? It sounds a bit, creaking. Says the Gemara, no, it makes sense that we talk here about the money, the coins, and not the metaltalin themselves. Well, how do you know? If you really think, if you want to entertain the thought that the guy actually had that sick guy had a real 100 soin and 100 chavias mamish for real, the physical ones, taking kilometers of space, if so, nikninu nele bechalipin. Why is it so impossible to be koine it, other than Agav? That's the question that kept haunting us the whole time. Why is Agav the only solution all of a sudden? Last time I checked, I never did Agav in my life. I don't think so. Yeah, I did Hagba many times, not just on the Sefer Torah. Kinyan Hagba, maybe meshicha, right? Why is Agav the only game in town all of a sudden? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because if really we were talking about soin and chavios, about real physical things, you can acquire them. Bechalipin, in other words, it's too hard for you to schlep them. Bevakasha. The recipient, the mekabel matono, could have done something very easy. Maton is bechlipin. He could have handed over his kerchief, his tie, his phone to the giver, and automatically all the tzoin and all the chavios and whatever you want to sell to him, Brooklyn Bridge, whatever is there, is nikle bechalipin. Yeah. Why didn't he do it? Because why? Because it was money. And money is not nikne b'chalipin. Ooh. One thing in the world, trivia question, ask your wife today at supper table. What is it that cannot be nikne b'chalipin? Actual cash, money. Why? Because money is not an object. I'm not crazy. You remember in Bov Mitzvah? You can only buy things that you know from the Megillas Rus or similar, a piece of land, or metaltalin, like the shoe, which the shoe there was the other side. Money is not an object, Why? Because when you have, what's the value of tea? Such delicious tea, always Yitzchak the Tzaddik is making. To drink it, I'm using the physical molecules of the tea. What's the value of the tie? To wear it while I'm online, right? To wear it. Money, who's in the $100 bill? Who's there? Who's Franklin, so the fact that you give a poor person $100, he's not going to actually say, "Oh, that's nice. I'm here to look at Rabbi Yomi Franklin. That's not my idea." Or to put it there to look at it and be very frum, in God we trust. No, you're not using the money as of itself as a physical object. Money is very good as means to get something else. The poor guy will get supper with it. The rich guy will invest it. Right? Money is there as means to get something else. That kind of funny entity called money is what is really not available, is not purchasable with chalipin. Chalipin is for other reasons which I'm not going to right now, for karka and for metaltalin. Money is neither. I'm going a little bit tangential. Allow me now. I have what to say also, not just you. And that is, why is it that I'm not allowed to move money on Shabbos? Why is it that you have coins? Why are coins muktzeh? Let's say there are basically 4 types of muktzeh. Why? Tell me without much lomdus, what comes to mind? Why can't I take shekels and pounds and move them around? Because what? Because? No. What kind of muktzeh? Not the whole history of muktzeh. No. Nice. In other words, it's not klisha melachta leisu, it's muktzeh machmas gufa, which means I'm not allowed to move scissors on Shabbos, let's say. Scissors are muktzeh because they're used for a prohibited thing. That's klisha melachta leisur. Money, it's not because it's used for transactions, although that's also. No, many people think so, but I'm sorry, it's not. Because money is like a stone. Just like stones and sticks are muktzeh machmas gufoy, they have no use. Money has no use. It has use, but not as what it is. You don't use the money for its physical value and entity. You use it as means to get something else. Of course, don't be smart and tell me, yeah, but I can use the coin to wedge the door. It's not what the money is there for, right? Okay? You can make $100 a paper plane. The very rich guy doesn't mind, takes $100, makes paper planes, throw it to his friends. Good for him. That's not the main usage of it, right? It's not the purpose what it was minted for. And therefore, money is not. So let's get back to our sugya. Okay, so now we're trying to prove that what they had over there was money and not real animals and real objects, and that's why meshicha. That's why chlipin wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because chlipin doesn't work with money. That's all. The only way to be coin the money is by agav. Bashenken, if it was sheep and goats and real wine, then why can't you do chlipin? Must be. We're proving our point now that this was money and not real animals and real barrels. Because otherwise, why don't you use another Kinyan? You're telling me what? This is really money? Is the only Kinyan for money, even though it's not a real object with all your philosophy? The only Kinyan is Agav? That's interesting. Why can't it be coin money with meshicha? Meshicha doesn't have limitations of chlipin. Meshicha is coin any physical object, whether it's used for its own value or not. Yeah? Why? Meshicha is nikna. Actually, Gemara in Shabbos, after the Aleph on base in the bottom of the page, the Gemara says you take a bag full, if a ganev takes a bag full of coins, yeah, a pouch full of coins, and he's moishech them, he pulls them out of the domain of the balabais, he's koine, he has to pay, pseder. But it's called a kinyan. So money is koine be meshicha, right? So anyway, so your proof is wrong. So whether you were talking about money or real sheep and real goats, it's still funny and crazy. Why is the only thing agav? Ela, you know why you can't be coined b'meshicha if it's money? The leisel mekabel matono. Ay, very good. As Ellen was saying, who has to do meshicha? Who's the only person that can do meshicha? I know it's a silly question. I just want you to get into the thing. The moicher or the koiner? Obviously the koiner. We must make an ukimta. The koiner wasn't there. Here I wouldn't call him a koiner, call him mekabel. The mekabel, the lucky recipient of all the richness of the nice guy, yeah, he wasn't there. He was in Kailel in Bnei Brak, and this guy was in Yerushalayim trying to make a kinyan. Since there was no mekabel matona, nobody was there to pull it. So the only way to be koine metaltalin is b'meshicha, agbo, mesira. He's not there. There is no mekabel to do the physical action required for metaltalin. So mimela, by default, the only game in town, the only way to do was by agav. That's the reason. Achinami deleisel mekabel matona. So even if you say that we're talking about coins, it's still difficult. You won't help me by saying coins. The only thing of coins is really what? Is to place them on the ground. Why? Coins, you can also, yeah, it could be their coins. He's not here. No chalipin, no meshicha, no nothing. Why? You know why there is no chalipin, no meshicha? Because the recipient is not here. That's why. Nothing to do with anything you said. It doesn't prove your point. It could either be metaltalin or money. I don't care. The idea is that we must say that there is no recipient to do anything physical. And that's why, 1 second. It's a Machloikis, Rav Levi, thank you. Okay, the Goyen, Reb Shloim is reminding me, Rav Levi argue, some say Matbea Nasach Lipin, sign with Nasach Lipin. By the way, Shlomo, it's not what it means, I don't think. Matbea Nasach Lipin means can Matbea be used as the buyer, not to be bought with Lipin, something else. Yeah? And Matbea Nikne B'Chalipin. Yeah, Shlomo, it's not the same. Yeah, Matbea cannot be purchased as a purchase and as what you're trying to buy. Shlomo just showed me, I think it's Daf Zayin. It says the matbea cannot be the item that you coin with, like the shoe. Leave that aside now. Now, Frag the Gemara, wait a minute. So what are we talking about over here? Let's summarize. Right now, we want to say that we don't know whether it was real sheep, right, or matbeos, right? The reason why the only option of kinyan is agav, simply Mr. Recipient is not there. He's receiving a lot of money. He's not there. He's fighting in Gaza. He's fighting in Besmedra. She's, I don't know where he is. His wife is giving birth. He's not there. He's in America. So Mimela, he's not there. What do? You have to do a one-man show. The makne alone has to work with agav. All very nice. Wait a second. Agav acher. Wait. If you're telling me he cannot do meshicha, why can't another person represent him? We know that Zachin Adam Shaloi Befonov, as it's mentioned many times, also later on, Daf Membeisu area. Yeah, Why can't the giver? What's the giver's name? Reuven. Yeah, let's say very original and different. Yeah, Mr. Reuven, the giver, wants to give Shimon the money and either money or sheep or whatever wants to give him. Shimon is not there. Why can't Reuven say, let me call Levi, which is right here in front of me. Levi will do the meshicha for who? For Shimon. Represent him, and you can do that. You can buy something for other people for the benefit, for the advantage. Answers the Gemara. The giver is scared. He does not rely on the local people. Sova, he thinks shomit v'ochilu. He says once he does meshicha, you say it's mine. You can only do meshicha on behalf of someone if you're cooperative, if you want to represent him. Yeah, if I pick up the $1 million envelope for Baruch, yeah, that's very nice if my mind is for Baruch. But if my mind is for myself, it's mine. Yeah, let's say Baruch says to me, Akiva, pick up the $1 million from me. I can play it as if it's for you, but really whisper to someone, I'm really doing it for myself. I'm not trustworthy. Yeah, so Mimela, that's why there was no solution of Meshicha. He wasn't there, and the locals apparently were not trustworthy in the eyes of the giver. Mimela, by default, Agav is the only way. He had to do it all on his own. Why are you telling me ein lo takono? It's not that halachically there is no other way. There is another way. You don't trust them, but it's not that there is no other way, right? People many times say, I can't. It's osur. You can, and it's mutter. You choose. You chose not to trust the other people. And says the Gemara, Hachi Komar, Lemay de lo samchedaite, and lo takona at shaknem al gabi karka, which means that we said that there's no the what you call it, the according to his opinion, in other words, since he does not rely on any other people, yeah, Mimela, since he chooses not to trust the others by doing what? By pulling, Mimela, in his situation, there is no takana besides Agav al Gabi Karka. Now, I just want to add something which Rashi says, and I missed it as I was explaining it to you. Look at Rashi. We said just like meshicha doesn't work because nobody's there to do the meshicha, or we don't trust anybody, right? Also, when it comes to chalipin, there is no other person. Look at Rashi. Yeah, we don't have anybody here to give his kelim for the makne. Yeah, there should be koine for the other person. The kelim shall koine by. Shall koine poshet kelev lamakne. Yeah, the person, what's his name? There is Kinyan Kalim. Yeah, as we saw yesterday, the buyer, the recipient can bring his kli and you put it in his kli. Why didn't they do that? Or why wouldn't other people lend their kalim to be there instead of the buyer, the recipient? The recipient is not there. His wife's giving birth. Get other people to be koine with their kalim, representing him. No, nasty people. There was no other person that was mefargen, that was helpful for the recipient to lend their kalim to, in order to represent and be koine for the recipient. Everybody says, no, we're not giving a kalim for the recipient. I guess we're very jealous that it's giving them a matana. Maybe that's why. For kids, there was no cooperation, no meshicha, no chlipin, no kalim. There was a very non-cooperative, hostile environment in that place. So there was nobody else. Nobody else could be koine. So let's summarize. What are we talking about? Let's not lose sight over here. We're trying to figure out, and we did not yet figure it out. What's the question all the time? Agav, tzvurim or lo tzvurim? Do the agav items, the metaltalim, have to be physically there in the land, or they can be outside the land? The last story we said, there was tefach tefach, tiny piece of land, and agav did work. If Agav worked, then you see that it doesn't have to be inside the land. You don't have 100 barrels and 100 sheep and 100 goats and 100 elephants. I'm getting picturesque over here. You don't have them in a tiny tefach. Says the Gemara, oh no, maybe it was the money, the coins, which were the value of those items. Yeah, he just put there a credit card, a credit card that has enough money, enough credit line to buy all these things. He stuck it in the nice tefach. That's very elegant. Stuck it in the ground tefach al tefach. Maybe that was the story. So says the Gemara, maybe. So we still don't know. The Gemara now tried to prove and get a little bit more gutsy in that direction and say, no, for sure, it was just coins. Why? Because if it was real stuff, why didn't do meshicha? Why didn't do chalipin? And says the Gemara, thank you. But if you tell me coins, by coins you also have the same question. Although chalipin don't work by coins, but meshicha does. So it's still a question. You're not proving anything. So really, why not? Says the Gemara. So let's be curious. Why really was Agav the only solution? Hostile environment. The guy himself was not there. The recipient wasn't there. What can you do when the recipient of matan is not there? If you have friendly environment, nice Anglo people like I have in front of me now, you can ask some other nice guy, represent him either by meshicha or kalim, something. Nobody wanted to comply, to cooperate, to collaborate. And Mimela, the recipient is not there. Everybody says, I'm not helping him get those 100 chaviyas. He doesn't deserve it. Yeah, Mimela, I'm alone. I'm the giver, working against the whole world. What's the only way I can do? What's the only thing I can do? Agav. But we did not prove the point that it's necessarily money or real animals which are outside or money that's inside. So we're still in the dark, groping in the dark, not knowing whether Agav's metalton have to be in the land, or is it even okay, also okay if they're outside the land? Still in the question. Question time. Yes. Question time. A little bit of time that we have left. Let's continue. I did not prepare the following. I think it's a quote from a Mishnah, but we'll try as we go along, and then we'll go over it tomorrow because I did see this in the past. To Shma. Yeah. Let's see. This is. I believe it's a Mishnah. Maise Rabban Gamliel v'Zkenim. Rabban Gamliel and other Talmidei Chachomim sheboim besfina. Yeah, they were in the boat together, right? And now Rabban Gamliel knew that in his house, yeah, there's fruit that were not yet meisered. Yeah, Rabban Gamliel is in a boat, I don't know, coming from somewhere to Eretz Yisrael, I guess, knowing that at home he has fruit which, as far as I know, there was no fruit that doesn't have Trumas Meiser. It's a big michshon. It says that Talmid Chacham doesn't allow, even for a short period of time, to have fruit that's tevel, non-gemeistered, in his kitchen, in his house. So Rabban Gamliel wants to do a remote control, Wi-Fi, remote control kind of truma, kind of. What does he do? Amalem Rabban Gamliel is Kenim. Rabban Gamliel told his Kenim, Isu Shani Osid Lomud. I think we're working here with Yesh Breira, which means he says, Rabban Gamliel, I will take Meiser when I arrive in Eretz Yisrael. The Meiser which I will take, which I will separate when I will arrive home, yeah, Nosun lo Yoshua. That is now given to Yoshua. Your Yeshua ben Chananya was a Levi. A Meiser Rishon is given to a Levi, and Yeshua ben Chananya was a Levi. Rashi goes into great length to explain it. Lo Mishaneh now was in times of Beis Hamikdash. So basically, Meiser Rishon goes to who? To the Levi, right? And then gives Trumas Meiser to the Kohen. So I'm already planning my steps in advance. I know I will. Let's say it's 100 barrels of wine. Yeah, 10 barrels of wine, which I will separate. I'm giving now Yoshua, which is a Levi. Oh, now, how does he acquire it? How does he get it? He's not there. You know how I'm doing it? With Kinyan Agav. To get the place of the meiser of the barrels is rented out for him. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Rashi explains more about what I said before. Yeah. So basically, Rabbi Yoshua was there in the boat with him. Rabbi Yoshua gave him a coin as a symbolic way to rent the place where the chaviyos are. So they're already planning now. We are now sailing in a cruise in the Mediterranean, a kosher cruise, Lemehadr in Old Torah. And what? And in my house of Rabban Gamliel, I know that what's there I'm giving it now to Rabbi Yeshua. How can you acquire something that's over there? Yeah, Rabbi Yeshua the Levi, he wants to receive the meiser, right? How can he do that? He's not there to pick them up. He's not there to pull them, to pick them, to do anything. Agav is a solution when you're not nearby. So he basically said that meiser, which I'm giving him, is given to him by him renting the house. To rent, I can rent. How can you rent the wine cellar? With a pruta. They're in the boat, in the cabin, right? And now, give me a pruta, give me money. With that money, can you rent a piece of land with money? Yes. You can acquire land with money. You can also rent it with money. So now the place is acquired to Rabbi Yeshua the Levi, and the barrels of wine that are, I assume, are in it, they are also his. Very good. Yeah, the Isur Acher Shani Yosid Lomud. The other Meiser, which is Meiser Oni. Now, this was the third or sixth year. The second Meiser you give instead of Meiser Sheni is what? Oni. Now, Rabbi Noson Lakiva ben Yosef Kedeshiyiz Kebol Anim. Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef was a Gabetz Tzedakah. That was his mitzvah. That was his Meiser Tov, besides Shakur and learning all the time. So he said, Rabbi Akiva, you represent the Anim. So I'm giving you the Meiser Oni, and the place where the Meiser Sheni is right now, give me a shekel, give me a pruta, the place will be yours with the barrels that are in it. You see, because he stressed the place where the metaltal in the barrels of wine are in, I want to give you, you have to rent out for me that place which they're in. Not any other place. Mashma what? You see that Agav requires that the items will be inside the rented or bought piece of land. So far, so good. Okay, it's time now. We're going to go tomorrow, Mir Hashem, go over it again. This was just the very first reading of it. Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. Be'ezus Hashem, all will be well. Are we going to be seeing you tomorrow? Maybe any chance? No? Okay. Safe trip to Tzvi. Hopefully you'll come back soon with all the Jews in America. All will come to Eretz Yisrael very, very soon. Atzlocha uvrocha b'chol inyonim. Thank you to our Torah Anytime viewers and YouTube. Thank you, and atzlocha rabba. Kol tuv.